Hi everyone. Happy Friday. I am just trying to get onto my page here so that I can see if we're actually live and facing the right direction. Hi Susie. How do things look for you? Is it facing the right way? Hi Linda. Hi Linda. Is it facing the right way, Susie? All right, it looks like we must be okay. I just have to, hopefully the iPad will turn back on so that I can watch along with you guys and check your comments. It died right as we were trying to get on here, so I will give it a minute while we get started here, and hopefully while we look at everything else, the housekeeping here before we get going, announcements, it will turn back on in the meantime. So this is the project that I'll be doing with you guys tonight. I'll show you how I did this watercolor background. Of course, it is never exactly the same twice. It'll be slightly different. I have some other ones that I'll show you guys that I did as well. So we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. But first, while this iPad charges up, I will go over the upcoming promotions that I have going on. So you guys have, if you've been here, you've probably seen these already a couple of times, but for anyone who's new or anyone who's still on the fence thinking about things, I will just share some events coming up. So my catalog kickoff will be Tuesday, May 25th. It is a few weeks after the actual catalog launch, but that will give time for our orders to arrive and for me to get these kits out to everybody, including the stamp set. So this one is a puffin party. So it will include the puffin party stamp set and the class, which will be these two designs as well as one more, and then some surprises, of course. So that one will be $50. It will include the stamp set, the cards, half a package of the twine, which includes black, white, crumb cake, gray granite, and vanilla, and then some of the host DSP. You will get a 6x6 portion of each of the sheets. So that's exciting. I have been creating with this DSP this week for a class that I have coming up. It's for the other appreciation event that I have next week. So I will have one of those cards to show you guys in here. I am going to just put a comment in the comments here. Actually, Ryan's going to comment for me. Can you comment to tell Linda that the captioning is not working? And then hopefully it will work from her end to turn it on. We're playing with some settings here tonight too, just seeing if we can get closed captioning to work. And we have not yet figured it out. So if anybody knows how to do that, I would love the advice on how to make that work for people who want to see what we're doing and need that extra feature. So does it include the fussy cutting? Haha. Sorry, it does. I might see if there's something that I can do for that, but I had a parade of these little puffins that I posted the other day. They were so cute. All right, so that one's May 25th. The deadline to register is May 2nd or 3rd. I have to go back and check what date I put on that, but that's just so that we can get payment and everything in so that I can order right on the 4th when the catalog goes live. And then next I have the In Color Club is coming up. We will start that in May. It will be the 4th Wednesday of every month. This one is $60 a month. It will be facilitated by myself, Laura, and Nemi, and each month every participant will get one color of the In Colors of the 5, and we will meet for 5 months. So by the end of the 5 months, you will have collected the entire collection of In Colors. So you'll have the stamp pad, the Stampin' Write marker, the Stampin' Blend, you'll have cardstock, ribbon, all of those kinds of things. So here is one project that I made. This is a sneak peek that will be a card that the people in my birthday celebration from when they placed orders a few weeks ago, they earned a free class. So this is one of the cards that they'll get to make. So it's a sampling of all of the In Colors. And their other cards include the In Colors as well, but they will get to see those next week. So these are them. This is Pale Papaya, Fresh Freesia, Polished Pink, Soft Succulent, and Evening Evergreen. They are really nice colors, and I love how they coordinate together like that. All right, then many of you are already aware of our online clear out sale. Starts May 7th. So if you would like to be a vendor at this event, you are welcome to do so. Just contact me and let me know if you would like to put an album of stuff in the sale. How it works is that whatever you sell, you get that amount to place an order for current product with that. So you can use that towards the new catalog. And if you're a team member, of course, then you place that order under yourself. Then at the end of May, 28th, 29th, my team and I will be doing a virtual launch. So we will each feature each of us who signs up. It's not an obligation for team members to do this, but anyone who wishes to can sign up to present, and they will just choose a stamp set that they want to create with, and they'll share projects with you. So you can join us on that page, and we have giveaways and contests there for people for playing along with us. So keep those things in mind. And there is, I think today is the last day for guaranteeing, or the guaranteed availability of stamp sets that are on the retired list. So if there's something that you want from the retiring list, make sure that you get that order in today. Otherwise, after today, they're not guaranteed. It's while supplies last. Everything else besides stamps has been while supplies last until now, but stamps are now going to be added to that rule. What was I going to tell you guys about that? And then, of course, the rest of it is only available until May 3rd. So, and things are starting to sell out. So just let me know if you have anything that you want to catch or get in on before it's gone. All right, so we'll put these away and we will get into making a card. So this one here I shared earlier in the week, and a lot of people asked how I did this watercolor layer. So I thought I would come and show you guys that, and then also just this sneak peek at the in colors so that you could see what was involved for that in color club coming up. So I did this, if I didn't already say, watercolor paper, and then I'm also going to show you guys how I used the leftover ink at the end to make these extra colorful sheets. And I think some of you will have seen the dinosaur. Sorry, this is all falling into view here, my supplies. Some of you saw my little dinosaur card that I did on Sunday with scrap pieces. So this piece here was one of the sheets that I used to soak up the extra ink after I made the rainbow. So I just did a technique where I absorbed the paper into just a sheet of white cardstock, and then I turned it into this little egg for the dinosaur. So I will show you guys that once we're all done with the rainbow. Okay. And those were the other. That's vellum, and then this is the Natural Touch wood grain paper that I love, and I'm very sad that it is actually only available until May 3rd as well. So if you guys like this wood grain paper, don't miss out on that. So what I used for this, it's half a sheet of the watercolor paper that we sell. So this is a full sheet. I could get 2 of these out of 1 sheet. I have marked this as sort of a guide for myself so that I can see where to apply each color of the rainbow. Okay. Now, of course, realizing I'm short one piece of white to show you that technique afterwards. All right, so if you guys have the previous aqua painters that we used to carry, it's a little bit different than the ones that we now have. The ones that we now have includes this nice, really wide brush tip one. So I am going to use that one to do this rainbow. And I'm also going to use my big clear block. Is there a video you can watch on which one, Janet? And I'm just going to reply to someone here while we're going. Sorry for my stopping to do this. Okay. My sound is fading in and out. Hopefully it will get better. Maybe that's because I was getting closer and further away as I left to go cut paper. But I'm going to use this big block here. You could use another non-porous surface. You could use your silicone mat or another block if you needed to, or multiple smaller blocks. This is block F, and I'm just going to put my color straight on here. The benefit of this as well is that I can spritz this block after to do this technique with these other pieces of paper. So I'm going to start in the order that I'm going to put these on. So this is Gorgeous Grape, and I'm just putting a drop straight on there. I might need more, but I'll start with that. And then Pacific Point is the next one. Just Jade. I'm actually going to put, I'm not going to go in order because when I use this block afterwards to do the leftover, I don't really want the colors in the same order. I want them kind of just mixed around. So that was Daffodil Delight. If I didn't say so, Real Red. We're not going to end up with a whole lot of Real Red on there, but we still need to try. Okay, so I've got all those colors on there. Now I want to take my water painter. You can see that there is some blue left in there, so I don't want to start with that, otherwise I'm going to have blue on my whole background. So I'm just making sure my brush tip is clear of color. And then I'm going to paint a coating of water all over this watercolor paper. It won't stay completely wet as I go along with color, but I just want to wet it first. And then I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. Okay, so this one here was the Gorgeous Grape. I've already put a little blob of blue up there, but hopefully we can get rid of that as we paint the color. I must have some ink on my fingertip because I've now put 2 blobs of blue on there. Oh well, it'll work out. We'll color over that. So I'm going to pick up some Gorgeous Grape first. And I want to disperse the saturation of that color in there so that it's not so dark just in one spot. So that's why I'm squeezing some water out of here while I pick that up. And I'm actually just going to use a piercer to hold that down. And then this portion here is where I marked that I want to do the Gorgeous Grape. So I'm just going to paint the first section of my rainbow onto here. And this first section will not be quite as vibrant, or the first application won't be quite as vibrant as you see up top. That's okay, because I'm going to go and do one full set of all the colors, and then I'm going to come back to add some more color. So I'm just going to try and use up some of this Gorgeous Grape that's in here before I run the color out of it, so that it's run clear before I go into the next color. So now I want to get rid of all of this Gorgeous Grape out of here before I do the next color, because I don't want them to bleed together quite yet. They will bleed together some, but I can see now there's no more purple in there. But some of this water that I had painted over the paper has dried now. So I just want to make sure that the section I'm going to go into next is wet. Otherwise, when I go to put the color on, you're going to have a really thick portion of color that's going to soak into one spot. So I just want to make sure that where I'm coming down next has water there. So the next color was Pacific Point. So again, I just squeeze some water through this so that I'm not coming down with just ink in my brush. I want some water in there too. So you can see here that there's water mixed in with that now. And I will start the next row. So at first it looks kind of light and not well blended, but the more I come over this, the brighter and more vibrant it will get. You could, if you liked it like this, you could stop there. But I'll stop with this one now, and then I'll go into, so you kind of waste a lot, but I'll go into the Just Jade. The blue is the one that especially saturates the brush. So I've got to squeeze a lot of that one out before I go into the next color and before I run the next section of water over my paper. Okay, and then I put the Just Jade down over on this side here. So one advantage to putting your ink drops down in order that you're going to use them. Oh, and you know what? I said I needed to make sure that I did the water on my paper, and I didn't. I picked up the ink. That's not the first time I did that. And thankfully I caught myself this time, because when I was playing around with these, I didn't catch myself every time. So I should learn from experience, but not always. I might even have to refill this brush. So I'm just making sure that I've got water on here. It's always the green. I think I get a little bit ahead of myself, and it was the green every time was the one I forgot to make sure that my paper was still wet. Of course, it's the same one every time. First 2 times I thought there's something wrong with my green. No, there's something wrong with the user of the green. Just forgetful. And so I actually scrapped the sheet that I was working on the first 2 times that I goofed it up, and then realized that it worked out in the end. So I think I'll go back and finish one. The second one I did go back and use it still. And by the next day, the way it had dried into, the layers just blended and dried into each other, it was just fine. But I didn't have faith at first. So lesson learned. I'm just going to give a little bit more color to this before I go on to the next one. Have any of you tried these watercolor techniques before? I'm open to tips too. This is just me playing around with this. This is not with any particular skill or lessons. I just played around with this. The green is Just Jade, Janet. Okay, so this one bled out a little more than what I might want, but that'll be okay. As we go over with more layers and they blend into each other, hopefully it'll be all right, but it's a rainbow. Okay, so again, I want to make sure that I have enough water. I'm going to try and avoid that green as I come down with the next layer, because I don't want to pull this green that's already bleeding over any more areas. So now I'll come down with the Daffodil Delight. It was hard to decide what green to do. I didn't want to do Old Olive, so I went with this one. So Daffodil Delight is next. I also wasn't sure when I first started making this card what my rainbow would be used for. So that's good for Daffodil. I'm going to leave that there. When I go off camera here, I'm just using my paper towel to squeeze the water through this brush here and get the color out before I go on to the next one. Okay, so now again, I've got to just make sure that I apply water over the next area, and I will come in with Pumpkin Pie. And again, just make sure you're always adding some water into the refill so that it's still saturated with water when you pick it up. Whoops. if you just noticed there when I first came down there with that swipe, it was pretty saturated. You could see the brush mark just like that. So make sure that you go back over that and blend that out so that you don't have that harsh line. That was what was happening with the green, but it was really hard to get it to blend out. But then I found as the paper dried, it just did a better job all on its own. Okay, so I'll add some red, and then I actually come back over the layers again. And then that helps make them more vibrant and blend into each other a little bit more. This kind of looks sloppy so far, and it does not look like that. But, and this, with the way this green blended into there, that one might be a little hard to blend, but we will give it a try. And I do have an extra layer that I have just waiting to use. I won't make you guys wait while this one dries, but you could, if you were in a hurry, you could heat it up with a heat gun. And that would, oh, see, look it, I forgot to make sure that that was painted with water. So here I am again. Thankfully I caught myself. Make sure that I come over this with water again. Now I can come over it with the red. Sorry about that. And I will overlap the orange a little bit. The orange is nice and wide, so I'm going to overlap that one a little bit so that I can have some more red showing. And then you just got to be, top is a little tricky. Rainbows are a good theme for many different occasions, so you could even make this a nice happy occasion card if you wanted to make a rainbow. So many different things that it can work for. Real red, yep. I forgot to say which one that was, but that's real red. And then sometimes I turn the brush on its side. Rather than going the wide way, I'll just turn it on its side and I get a little bit more control as to where that's going. I kind of went a little off the lines with the orange, or with the red into the orange. So that way, turning it this way, I have a little bit more control, and I'll try and pull that orange up again a little bit more. Okay, so that's all I think I want for red. So I'm going to get this red out of my brush. I think I need to get some more water. I think I would go through that whole, and I'm not sure. I may have some in another aqua painter sitting right here that I can just pour in. Make sure that it's actually water that's in there. And that way I don't have to leave to get more water. There we go. Okay. And then what I do before I come back over that, I'm going to just give a little bit more water to the area that I'm going to come over next. So I'm just going to add a little bit more water to the orange and a little bit more water to the yellow in case I want to bring that orange a little down over the yellow, just so that they're both wet. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit more orange or the pumpkin pie from here. It's easy when talking about the colors of the rainbow to forget what the Stampin' Up! Color names are and just red, orange. And then here I'm just bringing in some more color so that these layers of the rainbow are nice and vibrant. I had people asking how I made them so vibrant, and this was, it just sort of happened this way, that by coming over a second time after I sort of laid out the pattern, gave them a lot more vibrancy. And then coming in with the brush sideways this time, I have a little bit of control with the shape. And then I'm going to clean my brush out again. So I've taken the color out of there, and I'm just going to kind of come over the seams with a little bit of the water. I'm letting a little bit of water out as I go. And that will help those layers to blend into each other. So you can see it's kind of blending them there by pulling some of that color. Now we'll give some more yellow or Daffodil Delight. This re-inker doesn't seem to go as far as the other colors. I don't know if you noticed the Just Jade just seems really thick. I've never really noticed that because I don't think I've ever had so many different colors out all at once, but when you have them all out next to each other, they're not all exactly the same consistency. I should have wet this whole daffodil area, which I did not, but I can do that here. Try not to pull the orange into the yellow just yet. I'm gonna just adding some water into this now because I forgot to do that over the whole yellow. Then I'll pick up some more of the re-inker. This time, as I'm adding this yellow here, I'm trying to let it blend a little bit over the orange with this far side of the brush. And then that'll help those lines to blend together. Okay. So now I'm cleaning out the yellow. Just keep squeezing water through the barrel so that it runs that color out. Now I'm going to come over the green again, the Just Jade, with water first. And then that way I can bring in some re-inker next to brighten up that green area. And it's pretty vibrant here, so I'll start a little higher up than that. I'll end up going over that area again, but that way it was just a little easier to start. And I think I will put a little bit more on my block. Hi, Shauna. Making rainbows. This is probably where I got that color on my finger, was by opening those re-inker bottles. So you may want to just make sure the lids of your re-inkers are clean. I have set them down so many times right on somewhere, and then I end up getting that color in the middle of a project. So here I'm just coming into the middle to add a little bit more color to the middle of the green, and then I will go blend over those edges. Okay, so I want to clean the ink out of this before I blend over the edge from the green to the yellow. Otherwise, I'm going to spread that green a lot further up into the yellow, and I don't want to do that. It already went on its own up there. Okay, so I'll try to just blend over this just a little bit so it's not such a harsh line between the two colors. So you can see there how that's helping it be more of a softer transition from the jade into the daffodil. And I may still need to get more water. Okay, so now I'm going to wet the blue, which is Pacific Point again. Just wet that area again so that I can come over that with some more re-inker. So it's a few layers per color, but that's what helped those sections to kind of blend out into each other and to have the vibrancy. Again, you could, if you were happy with the lighter tones and not having them so vibrant, you can stop after the first go and just leave them as they are. But I had people ask how I got them so vibrant, so I figured I would come and show you guys how I got them as vibrant as I did. So again, I'm cleaning out the blue so that I can come over the transition from the blue to the green. And that I like to do with the flat edge down. Just helps transition one color to the next. So now I'll wet the purple, the Gorgeous Grape again, and then I'll pick up some more Gorgeous Grape, always wetting that tip while you're picking up the color so that it's not straight re-inker going down into there. And if this Gorgeous Grape layer seeps down further, it's fine because I'm putting that cloud layer over top. So I wasn't worried about this bleeding down into this open area of the rainbow. There we go. And when I swiped that around, because this is such a small arc, that just sort of naturally blended the grape into the Pacific Point. Now that that's done there, I think I might want to add a little bit more into the Pacific Point. So I'm going to just pick up a little bit more and come in here with just a little bit more of that. Hopefully I don't regret it. But just give that a little bit more vibrancy in the blue. There we go. So that is the rainbow. That one worked out okay, I think. So there's a little bit more bleeding from the green to the yellow than what I want, but that's okay. Once it's all done, it's a rainbow. I might even just come over this area here a little bit of yellow and try to soften that edge, but probably should just leave it alone. So that is my rainbow. I hope that that has helped you guys learn how to do the rainbow. I'll show you what I did for the rest of the card as well. I will complete this one. And I forgot to say, if you share this video, I will do a draw when I come back, or not when I come back next Friday, but before next Friday. And on next Friday's live, I will announce who wins this card. So I will send one of these cards to whoever wins. I don't think there was any shares last week, so I don't have a winner of last week's card to announce. So chances are good, if you share the video, that you may win the card. So share away and just comment. Make sure that you do comment to let me know that you shared, and then I'll put you in the draw. So thank you, Shauna. And thanks, Susie. So I'm going to set this aside to dry. I will again use one of the ones that I already created, just so that this has a chance to dry on its own. I don't know about you guys, but I find when I use a heat gun to dry things, it sometimes reduces the vibrancy of the color. Maybe that's just me, but that's what I've tended to notice. So I'm going to put this aside. When I assemble the card, I'll show you the ones that I'm going to use. This is the one that I'll use. This was the first one that I actually marked where I wanted the layers of the rainbow to go. So that's the one I'll use there. You can see that the red bled up a little further, but again, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and use that. But here's some others that I did while I was playing around, just to get to understand what exactly it was I was doing to get this result, because this was actually the first one that I did, and I just lucked out. And so then I was like, oh gosh, am I going to be able to duplicate this again? But it seemed to work out. One of these is the one where the green didn't go in nicely, but after I layered some more over it and then let it sit overnight, it turned out all right. So I think they're usable. I will definitely turn those into cards. So this is the one that'll turn into my actual card. And funny story, I did an upside down rainbow first. This is the one that I did very first before I came in with the extra layer of color. And then my son let me know that it was upside down and the colors should be in the reverse order. So I didn't bother with the next layer of color, but you can see what a lighter version works. And I think this is still really pretty. The vibrancy of this one, like this is a lot more vibrant, but I think that these nice muted tones are still really pretty if I had only done them in the right order. So before I get rid of this ink off my block, I'm going to show you guys what I did to get those other colors. So all of this here. So I'm going to move these, and I move my cards so that they don't gets sprayed when I spray this. It'll overspray everywhere. So I'm going to show you all of these layers here. So I've got a white layer, and I've got a piece of the Natural Touch paper, and I have a piece of vellum. So I'll start with the vellum, and then I will do the wood grain, and then I will do the white cardstock. Shimmer paper would probably look really pretty. I may actually even just quickly cut a piece of shimmer paper while you guys are here, and I will try that rather than the white. So I've got shimmer paper already cut actually, so that's going to be what I try the last one with. So for this, I've got rubbing alcohol in a spritzer bottle. Thank you, Janet. And I'm going to spritz this. So I'm moving these papers out of the way again while I spritz so that I don't get that all over. Move my other tools out of the way. And I'm going to pull in a little scrap sheet, and hopefully it will help shield my area here. If you've got a spritz guard or something like that, we used to sell them, then that works great, or a box. Okay, so rubbing alcohol is in my spritzer. I am going to spritz all over this. You guys have seen me do different inking techniques with spritzing on the block with color, but the re-inker, and that was with ink pads, but the re-inker is already here. So we may as well use it. Thanks, Brenda. Hi, Brenda, how are you? Okay, so I'm just mixing these around. The reason for that is it makes it spread over the block, and it transitions the colors so that you don't have such harsh distinction from one color to the next. So this is vellum. It's going to use up the least amount of this ink, so that's why I am doing the vellum first. It's not very absorbent, but the alcohol seems to help it set into the paper because it's non-absorbent, or at least that's my thinking, and it tends to do that with the Natural Touch paper as well. All right, so that I'm gonna let run over the end a little. And I might even just give it a little spritz while it's on there. Help it run. Okay, so this one is going to get set aside on a scrap sheet. And there was that ink all pooled up on the end there. I'm gonna just pick up some of the big pools there and set that aside. And if it's not dry by the time we're done, I will try to heat it up so that you guys can see it. Okay, so that was the vellum, but you can see there's still a lot more ink here. So next I will hide this again, try to shield the rest of the work area, and then give this another spritz. Just give that another little mix. Help that ink spread out all over. And then I'll put this Natural Touch paper down on top again. This paper, I think I was telling you guys the last time I used this, you want to get it off of here fairly quickly. So there we go. That's the Natural Touch paper. This one dries a lot faster, and there was a lot less ink left there now. And then next, before I clean this up and put it away, I'll just give it one more spritz. There's not a lot left here anymore, and there's not much of the blue, so this one will look a lot different than the one that I used for this egg that I did that with. I might even throw in just, I know it's not, defeats the purpose of using up the leftover ink, because now I'm just adding a little bit more, but I want to put a little bit of blue and green. Vasco. That is hilarious. Tell Vasco I said hi. Okay, so I'm going to just add some more alcohol in here. It needs a little bit more so that that blue and green can mix around. And I'm going to just push that around a little bit with my aqua painter so that it's not so mixed into or saturated in one spot. The other thing you can do to get this to mix a little bit better is just push it around with a straw. So that helps that to not be quite so saturated in the one spot there. Now I'll add a little bit more here where the yellow is there. So now I am happy with that ink, and I will throw down this shimmer white and we'll see what we get out of this. And then you guys know how if you give a mouse a cookie goes, or if you give Alana crafting supplies, one thing turns into another. So now I'm gonna have to use this and turn it into something, but I think that's a pretty cool background. When I did this with the other papers, I went along some of the seams and put a little thin bead of Tombow, really thin, like not much at all. And then I put Gilded Leafing on it. So that is how, I'm scared to pick anything up and get my inky fingers, but that's how I got this gold look on that egg. All right, so there we go. And this dries pretty quick too, because it is super porous, this paper, as opposed to the vellum or the wood grain paper. It's maybe not quite as porous as regular cardstock, but in comparison to vellum and the wood grain, it sure is. So thanks, Shauna. Yeah, it's fun. So I have been having lots of fun with ink and backgrounds. There's so much that you can do, even without re-inkers, if you just use your block and apply some ink to the block with your stamp pads. But here's the vellum so far. That is how this one is turning out. It'll need some help to use a heat gun to dry it and then have it uncurl. So that's a trick too. You can see that that's curling there. If you flatten it out and use your heat gun to heat it, it'll help it relax and flatten it back down. So I'll just keep it aside for now, and we'll get rid of all of this extra spatter that we have going on. So I hope you guys will give this a try, and then feel free to come back and share in the comments. I should do another draw. If anybody makes something and comes back and posts it in the comments, I will do a draw. And we'll give another card away. I might be a little bit, you'll have to tell me if you guys are getting sick of all the inking techniques, not just tonight, but in all of my projects that I've been doing. So I'm just cleaning up this ink, this mat. If you're here for the first time, I've laminated it. I just took it to a copy store and had it laminated with a sturdier laminate and or plastic, and I love it. It works great. It's a gift that I give to my team members when they, what we call qualify. I give them this, and they also get some Tombow glue and a glue holder. So everybody likes these. All right, so I will bring the card back in and my supplies, and I will show you guys how I made the card. So I've got my card base, it's Pacific Point, and then I have a Whisper white layer that I put tear and tape around the edges so that I could add the Gilded Leafing, so you can see that nice shiny gold there. Yeah, I agree, Susie. It's nice to try different ways of getting those inked backgrounds. So I've got the Pacific Point, the white layer that will have the gilded leafed edge, and then I've got my watercolor layer. Did anybody spot the new product on here? I've had some private messages asking what it is. So I've got this beautiful cloud, stitched cloud border. I was so excited for this. This is coming our way in the new catalog, so I was able to pre-order that as a demonstrator. I've been having fun with the new borders. We have, yeah, Susie, you do need to try it. It is lots of fun. And there's so many different ways to use it too. I've got the dog punch. If you don't have the dog punch, don't miss out on him before he's gone. It's so cute, or her, whichever dogs you have in your life. I have the resin hearts that I'll use to embellish the dog. And then I've got Wonderful As You stamp set. I use the It's Hard to Say Goodbye. It makes me sad. The thought of this, I actually have some people this week that I need to send a card like this to, so that part is never easy. And then these are also retiring. So this is the Flower for Every Season Gems. I love using these clear flat back dots. I use them a lot. So you guys probably have heard me say that on every live video that I've done. So we'll get assembling this card and stamping on it. So when I did the greeting on here, I found that making the cloud layer long enough to fit the whole greeting, it was a little too bottom heavy. So what I did was I stamped this on here just up to from the To Say Goodbye, and then I stamped It's Hard on another layer and then fussy cut it out. So I'm going to actually use a sticky note and mask off It's Hard. I think I showed you guys this last time too. If your greetings aren't quite what you want them to be and you just want part of it, or you need to split it up, don't be afraid to mask them and make them work for you. I actually posted a card yesterday on Instagram. I'll post it over on Facebook too. But I masked different portions of greetings. I'll have to find that card and show you guys that it was secret until yesterday because it went live with the Fancy Friday team. But I do have it still, and I'll have to show you guys how I combine some greetings. But I'm masking off It's Hard, and then I will use my Memento ink, which of course I forgot to grab. Hopefully this one's nice and inky. So I'll ink this up, make sure that's covered. And if you're wondering why I have two clouds, it's in case I goof up. It happens to all of us. So I'm going to move this. And then now, hopefully I don't get in your way. My little trick was to line up this section here, right in that little part of the end of the cloud. Now let's hope that worked. There we go. So I will go with that. I might need to touch up the letters a little bit with a black marker just to fill them in a bit more. But for now, it's good. And then now what I need to do is ink this up again. And I'll just use my sticky note underneath here so I don't get it all over the table. And now I want to get the top two words. Now I just need to fussy cut It's Hard. And then this way I can put that exactly where I want it. And that way my greeting can be bumped up just far enough that I don't have a bottom heavy card or too bottom heavy. And then that way that can layer over top of that. And what I actually did, my friend Sandy made a card for us, and I noticed she had done this. So it's a technique that I have been enjoying using. So you can just give a slight outline if you have little greeting layers. Sometimes you can do this just to blend it in, or if you want to make it stand out a little bit, either one, just depending on what's behind it. But I just outlined that in Pool Party. You could just leave it as well, but that's what I did. And now we will layer some things after I add the Gilded Leafing. So I'll just move all these pieces over. I don't need this extra cloud piece for now, but it will be good on another card. And I'll show you how I do the Gilded Leafing. So I have mine in a box. Hopefully you guys can see this. Just make sure. But I just leave it right in here That's okay that that tipped over. But by keeping it in this box, I don't ever really have to clean up after it. This stuff is very staticky. I had it in a plastic embossing tray at first, and then every time I touched the tray, the gilded leafing just flew out like jumping beans. So a teammate of mine had put hers in a box, so I just followed that and it's worked great. So I have it lined with wax paper, and then I just leave this in there, and I have a sponge that's dedicated to this, so I don't really have to clean it up. So again, I took tear and tape and I lined the outline of this white layer with the tear and tape. You want to make sure that you have clean edges. So I did snip with my scissors a clean edge so I could butt it up right next to the previous side. So I laid it down here, snipped the edge off, put that clean edge up to the next one, and I just kept working my way around. When I got to this last end, I was missing a little hair of tape, so I just filled it in with another one, because otherwise I would have one little white line showing. So you just want to make sure it's fully covered. I'm going to just peel all of these off at once, and we can just cover this whole thing, the edges. How many of you have played with gilded leafing? I know Susie hasn't, but hi, Zana. I don't know if I said that right, but that's exciting to see someone from the UK watching again. Last time I had the first UK viewer. So thank you for watching. Thank you everybody for tuning in. It's fun to do this with people here to watch. All right, so now with these revealed, I'll just throw the gilded leafing on there, and then you can just sweep over it with your sponge. And it's super easy. Just coats it. You don't get all sticky. There's not much cleanup. Then I just use this sponge, brush off the excess. And it's really easy. And then I like to just go over the edge too, to make sure that there's not any really fluffy pieces sticking off. So there we go. That's all done. I could just use that to clean that off. Most of the time I don't end up with it all over my hands, but probably because I've got re-inker and they were wet. Okay, so there we go. Now I just take my lid, put it back on here, and then as I move it, nothing flies away on me. The first time I used it, I made swaps with it, and I had it jumping all over the place. I was making 20 of them. Susie, you will. Susie likes fancy things, and I guarantee, Susie, I'm sure you will love it. Okay, so I will first layer things onto this one here. So I'm going to take this rainbow layer, and what I'm going to do before I attach this, just make sure that my layers are going to line up in a way that I'm happy before I commit to attaching anything. And I can see that it will be good. I will trim a little bit off the bottom of this here before I attach it down, but it's all going to turn out okay. I can feel the edge of my card is right here, and this all fits, so it's good to just go ahead and put these layers together. The leafing is in the spring catalog, Susie. It is carrying over though, so thankfully it's not retiring. I would have been really sad. We were really hopeful. Oh, good. I'm glad I pronounced your name properly. We were hopeful that we'd get new colors of the leafing, which we didn't, but maybe that will come. But it is, I don't know, I just think it's really pretty. And now that I have some tricks on how to use it, like the box, and using it with die cuts that have had the adhesive paper attached, it is, I don't know, it's just really fun. Thank you, Leanne. So no rush on it, at least, Susie, with all the other things that are retiring. We still have time with the leafing. It was on back order for so long when it first came out too, that it was hard to get our hands on it. So thankfully now we can still get it, or we will still be able to get it. Now I am going to actually, I probably only needed to do 3 sides of the gilded leaf layer, but this actually goes a little higher up and not centered, so that it's actually centered on these three sides. So in hindsight, I could have left this bottom layer, but that's fine. So I'll just go with that. And then actually that means I need to just quickly recheck this before I trim it off so that I can see where it's going to go. Yeah, me too, Janet. It would be really nice if they had more colors. So I'm gonna just flip this over. That's about where I want this. So I'm gonna just flip over my card so that I can see how much of this I want to cut off. And I had a little pencil here. So now I'm gonna take off about that much. So now I just wanna use my cutter and trim that much off the bottom because I'm going to line this layer up, as you can see here, straight with the bottom of the card. So now what I can do is just flip that over. I can line up that mark with the edge of the cutter here. And I want to just have this straight on there. So you can see I've just snipped off that pencil mark, and I'm going to use this line on my cutter, line up the bottom of the clouds, and I just want to take off the side. Oops, make sure I hold it straight and hold it steady. There we go. And then this side here, I actually need a big cutter for this one. So I'll show you what I'm going to do there. That little cutter doesn't measure out far enough. But this needs to be 5.5 wide because that's the width of my card. So now I can just put this end to the 5.5 and then cut that off. So now this will be the proper size to fit along the bottom of the card. So just so that you guys, just wanted to do that so you could see how I got this cloud layer to fit. I could probably even take a little bit more off the bottom now that I see how close this Y is to the bottom. But before I do that, I would just want to make sure that by taking any more off that I don't lose my coverage here. And I don't think I want to see this arc underneath there. So I'm actually not going to take off any more of that. I'm going to just leave it as is, and I will see more of the greeting here. So in hindsight, maybe the It's Hard would have fit, but yeah, we'll have to source these little cutters. It's super handy. I use it all the time. Of course, you still need a big cutter, but it's very handy to just have on my desk and clean things up. So you guys can all see how this is coming together. I should have remembered to close my memento so we don't have disasters. What I'll do next is I'm going to attach this layer now to here. I use tear and tape just because the watercolor paper tends to curl a little bit, so I like how the tear and tape just gives a really good hold. Yeah, this one is a Stampin' Up! Cutter that they had. It was available when people signed up during Celebration in 2020. And then for a short amount of time, it was available to demonstrators on a supply order. But they sold out so fast. So we'll have to see if there is anywhere that sells that little guy. Do any of you guys use your water painters much? I've been using them a lot more lately, and especially with this wide-tipped one. I'll have to show you guys. We use the wide-tipped one with my stamp club this month as well. And we did this fun scene with it. It was the card design I cased from Alicia, Paper Munchkin, I think is her business or her card making page. But hers was in different colors, but I wanted to make a nighttime scene one. It just reminded me of being down at the dock at Ryan's parents' cabin, or his grandparents, I mean, sorry, before it was no longer in the family, and I just liked that feel for it, so that was what I went with. But her card design was great, so it was an easy jumping point, but it was this one here. So we used those wide water painters to do that scene there, and then we did some salt rock techniques and stamped in it as well, but it was lots of fun. Okay, so this goes on with dimensionals, and we've been using tons of dimensionals with making swaps for new catalog stuff. Do any of you make swaps? It is swap making time. I sent out 21 parading puffins yesterday, and I had a little bit too much fun with those. If you go to my Instagram, you can see my stories. I saved one from yesterday in my highlights, and those parading puffins are just ridiculously cute. I probably had too much fun with them. It doesn't take much to make me happy, especially in paper crafting. You guys who have stamped with me have all seen it. The excitement over a fun crafting element. So dimensionals for the clouds, they're just lined up to the bottom of the card. I can't wait for you guys to be able to get this. And here's one that I hope you don't miss out on. If you don't have this one, don't miss him before he's gone. I usually use my mini dimensionals for this, but I think they are in the other room, so I'll just wing it with the large ones and cutting them. So I have to double decker the dimensional under the dog's head because it will overlap where the clouds are. So the part that goes on the clouds is a single decker. The head, which will go into the rainbow, needs a double decker. Oh, thanks, Donna. Me too. I couldn't resist those puffins. And Janet, the puffin party includes the puffin stamp set? Yes, it does. So the puffin stamp set is $27 before tax and shipping. And then you get the little package, or half a package of twine, and a 6x6 of all of the host DSP. So the dog is dimensionaled onto there. I think he's actually on sale. I should have had the price handy, but I think it's only around $13, maybe even only $9. If any of you have that handy and don't mind commenting to let us know, I don't mind you helping out with that information. Yes, we do, Donna. I don't know about you guys, but something about the last couple of days has just felt like extra off and heavy. Even my kids are feeling it. So I don't know. I was talking about that with my sister-in-law today. So we were saying we need to do a Zoom crafting session next week. She's in another province, but we are all up for connecting with each other because it's just, I don't know, maybe it's how long it's all going on for. But I'm happy to give you a smile, Donna. So It's Hard is just going on with some glue. And I was about to put the heart on and then realized I was going to lose this if I bumped my card. So I sidetracked to put this on. So that's just glue tucked above the to say. Unfortunately, Susie, there are not dies for the puffin stamp set, so that's a fussy cut one. But thankfully they're not too intensive. I'll show you guys those before we go actually. So I've got the hearts from the resin hearts from the snail mail suite. And I just put that little heart on here. There is a heart that's part of the dog punch. It's just a lot bigger. So if I have that here, you can see the size comparison from this heart here. So it still works great. I just had these handy and I thought that they would look really cute. Yeah, Brenda, she loves fussy cutting. Janet will fussy cut for everybody. Thank you, Jessica. So the dog is on sale for $14.40. It's a really good price if you don't have him. And the cat is staying. So that is good that we will still have the cat. Janet says, no, not Janet Gerard. Fussy cutting might not be her favorite thing in the world to do. Brenda does, though. I think Brenda finds it therapeutic. There are some of us who love it and some of us who do not. So you'll have to let me know if you're a fussy cutter, if you enjoy that, if it's therapy for you. So I have these little itty bitty glue dots, and I will use these to attach the gems because they are just too easy to attach that way. Though I do know some people that just attach them with a little dot of Tombow glue. So don't mind my fussy assembling here. And if anyone is interested, if you are across Canada and you don't have a demonstrator and you're interested in the puffin class, I can send that across Canada. So that is not just open to local people. I can send that anywhere in Canada. And if you have to get these products early, you can, of course, always join and be able to purchase them on a pre-order. The other option is on May 4th. If you have been thinking about joining Stampin' Up, on May 4th, we have a Join Plus promotion starting. So for the usual $135, you get to choose $206 worth of value rather than what is usually $165 in value. So that's exciting too. You can get a new product and get extra for your value. So that is my card. So sadly, I do need to send one of these to somebody else, but I've got the supplies handy with all of my rainbows that I made to make more of them. So I have a friend who lost her dog this week, and I'll send one of these to her. I have one other card. I should maybe show you guys one other sneak peek of another dog card that I made. So I'll bring that in. But this is the rainbow that I just made here tonight. So it's mostly dry. It's still a little bit wet, but I think this one looks good too. So I will definitely use that one. And I do want to, I'll show you guys the puffin cards. I may as well bring them in here and show you. And then I will show you one other dog card that I made. If it is, here it is. Okay, so here's a sneak peek at some more Hostess paper that is in the package that this really cute diagonal stripe. This is probably my very favorite piece of DSP ever from any package. I love stripes. I love rainbows, as you can tell. And I love diagonal stripes even better than stripes. So this paper is just so fun. So this is two of the cards that are from the Puffin party, not Penguin party. So this is one that we'll make, and participants will also get 2 wobbles so that they can make this one wobble and not have to make their own wobble. I did make my own for this one, but I will include those with the class. This card here, and then one more design to go with this. And then I made this card for a swap. So I had so much fun with these that and that diagonal paper and the zebra that I made for you guys last week with the flip card. So I made one more. I did a puffin flip card, and then I'll show you guys. This is how I used that pool party to outline this little part here. I did that on this as well, so that it just made it stand out a little bit more and it wasn't just stamped right in the middle of the base of the card. So that's a fun little addition, and I did that on all these too. All of these are outlined with pool party. All right, so those are the puffins, and you probably saw this card sitting here, but this is the other dog card. So this paper is also from that Hostess DSP, and then I basically just followed sort of the same idea, and that's actually outlined in pool party as well. So this one is one that people get to make next week. So it's not a surprise anymore, but it will be in your kits for next week for the birthday party event. So you get a sneak peek at the DSP that's coming, the different borders that are coming, and then this one ties in a little bit of retiring product as well. So just thought I would show you guys that before the dog is gone for good. Do you all have the dog punch? That was one, I think I got that one right away as soon as we could. We don't sell the stamp set anymore, but the punch is certainly very usable even without. No, Janet, the resin hearts are on the retired list. They're not on sale yet because they're in the spring retiring list, so who knows if they will go on sale. They were sold out for a while that we couldn't even get them, so I'd be surprised if they make it to the end of the catalog period, but they're something that I feel like I need to stock up on them. So you'll get one in your kit for next week though, so you can make this card. And yeah, Susie, I think all of us who have dogs have the dog punch. So anybody who's doing my event next week that you earned for doing the order on my Stampin' Up! Birthday, you guys will get to make this one, and you'll get a heart to make this one. But definitely, if you like these, then don't delay. I will actually place another order either tonight or over the weekend. I have some people who want some stuff while the stamps are still guaranteed up until today, and then they want some other things before they sell out. So if any of you would like anything, let me know, or you can use the post code that I realized I did not share in here today, and I will post it in the description of this video just so that I make sure I give you the proper one. So if you guys, again, don't miss out on the Puffin Party, registration is open until May 4th, I think. It's the 2nd or the 4th, but this is May 25th. The In Color Party, or In Color Club, is coming up. We have our online clear-out sale starting May 7th. There's always lots of product and excitement going on with that. And then you can tune in to our virtual launch party, May 28th and 29th. And I do have some other class offerings that I'll be sending out in the meantime. So if you want any information on these, you can comment or you can message me, and I will get that information to you guys. So thanks again for joining in. Make sure you comment to let me know that you shared so that you can win this card or have a chance to win this card. And I will be back Sunday anyway, not live, but with a photo to share for my Simple Sunday challenge. And if you have one from last week, make sure that you comment with a photo of your project on my post from last week's Simple Sunday. I know, Susie, there's so much going on. But if you have a project that you used scraps that you've got kicking around on your desk or in your crafting area, and you made something out of them, post a photo in the comments from last week's. It's the dinosaur card. So look for this one, and in the comments, post a photo of what you created out of some scraps. It doesn't have to be fully scraps. Like I said with this one, it was just the egg. I did have, I think these pieces, the striped piece behind here, those were just kicking around, and I think I had the vellum layer, and I even had this label pre-cut. But anyhow, it wasn't fully made out of scraps. But if you use scraps you've got kicking around and make something, share a photo of that and I'll enter your name in the draw. So sadly, something I too will need to make sure. Oh no, Audrey, I'm sorry. That's no fun. Oh, I can't even think. It's just, nobody needs that right now. But if it does happen, handmade cards are at least a nice way to say that we're thinking of them. So anyhow, thank you guys for coming. Thanks for being here on a Friday night, and I will see you guys again next week. Have a good weekend. Bye, Susie. Bye, everyone.